Fitzgerald, and I'm the Jewish lay leader here at JBLM, and we can be found at the Main Post Chapel Annex and on Facebook, JBLM Jewish Communities. Links are also available on the First Corps chapel pages. Now I'd just like to talk about an important holiday coming up. Shavuot 2020 will begin in the evening of Thursday, May 28th, and ends in the evening of Saturday, May 30th. Shavuot, also known as Festival of Weeks, commemorates the day when the Israelites received the Torah during their desert wanderings, approximately 3,327 years ago, and is the only Jewish holiday mentioned in the Torah without a specific calendar date. Rather, it is to be celebrated 50 days after the second day of Passover. That is, we count the Omer starting on the second evening of Passover until we get to number 50, and then that ends up being Shavuot. Some rabbis actually say that Passover and Shavuot are really one holiday. The exodus from Egypt was only completed with the giving of the Torah. Now, Shavuot is also one of the three biblically associated pilgrimage holidays known as the Shalosh Regalim. In ancient Israel, the Israelite males were commanded to appear before God in Jerusalem, bringing offerings of the first fruits of their harvest. Shavuot is the only Jewish holiday with a dairy menu. The Torah refers to Israel as the land of milk and honey, and Shavuot puts the country's world-famous dairy in the spotlight. One of the explanations of the dairy menu is the Torah that Moses brought to the Israelites, including the commandment to keep kosher. So it was much easier to celebrate the receiving of the law with a dairy smorgasbord than to immediately set into motion kosher slaughtering techniques. Moreover, the gematria, or numerical value, of the word chalav, which is milk, is 40, the number of days Moses spent on Mount Sinai receiving the Torah. Now, Israel boasts more than 1,000 locally made dairy products and the world's largest selection of soft, spreadable white cheeses, according to the Israeli Dairy Board. So now please check your favorite references for more information and other practices to celebrate. And Chag Sameach, happy holiday, and stay healthy. And now I'd like to introduce Phil, who's going to give us a short Torah talk.
This week, I'd like to share a story that I recently heard on Reform Judaism's website in a collection they call Stories We Tell. You'll notice a theme of seeing things from a different perspective in this story. And the story goes like this. Rabbi Yechel lived in a small town. He was known as a kind, gentle, and generous man. People loved him, but as his generosity, he didn't have a lot of nice things. One prized possession he did have, though, was a set of silver Shabbat candlesticks. They were ornate and beautiful, and Rabbi Yechel loved to shine them on the days leading up to Shabbat. Every week he would shine his candlesticks, he'd put them on the Shabbat table, and invite family and friends over for a beautiful meal on Shabbat. One day, he was getting ready for the Sabbath to start and started his normal plan of shining his candlesticks and getting the table ready. He opened the cupboard where he kept the candlesticks, and whoa, there's no candlesticks. He says to himself, I'm getting old. I must have misplaced them. Maybe I forgot them somewhere in the room here. He looked around the room. No candlesticks. He thought, maybe somehow I got mixed up and it is in a different part of the house. He looked around the house. He looked high and low and left and right. No candlesticks. It happened that his best friend came to the door. Rabbi Yechel explained to his best friend the situation, and his friend said, I'll help you look. His friend looked around the room. No candlesticks. His friend looked high and low, left and right. No candlesticks. They even looked outside, thinking maybe the candlesticks fell off the window ledge and into the yard. No candlesticks, though. Rabbi Yechel's friend said, Rabbi, look it. It's time to face facts. I think someone stole your candlesticks. Rabbi says to his friend, no way, no way. No way would someone do that. his friend replies to him, he says, look at Rabbi, you got to just face up. We need to go around town and try to find your candlesticks. Reluctantly, the rabbi agreed, but only on the condition that they only ask if someone has seen his candlesticks. Well, they set out looking around town. They go down the streets. They go through the alleys, not finding any candlesticks, till they get to the very edge of town. And they see this ramshackle shack on the edge of town. They glance in the window, and lo and behold, there's a set of candlesticks they see. So they peer in a little closer, and they see a family huddled around a rickety old table, and they're all standing around a set of candlesticks, warming their hands. Well, Rabbi Yechiel noticed right away, he recognized those were his candlesticks because they were so unique. He also noticed that this family was in a bad situation and that they were very poor and needed help. Rabbi's friend also recognized these candlesticks right away, and he eagerly pounded on the door. When a little old lady came to the door in a ragged dress, Rabbi Yechiel was the first to reply, though. And he said, Rabbi Yechiel, those candlesticks look exactly like some candlesticks that I lost. They're so beautiful. I would love to replace my candlesticks if I could just buy yours. Would you sell your candlesticks to me? How much are they? How much would you ask for? Well, the old lady looked a little uncomfortable and a little sheepishly. She answered, well, maybe $50? Well, Rabbi Yechiel pondered for a second, but he said, $50? Those candlesticks are worth much more than $50. And I would love to replace my candlesticks. I would give anything to replace them, in fact. But would you take $200 for those candlesticks? Well, the old lady resisted a bit, and she said, but the rabbi persisted. Finally, she gave in. She accepted his offer of $200. He gave her the money. She gave him the candlesticks, and they parted company. On their way out, the rabbi noticed his friend was looking quizzically at him. So the rabbi explained this. You see, it all depends on your perspective. I got my beloved candlesticks back, and this family is now going to have enough money to heat their home for the whole winter. Perspective. I was thinking about this story as I was also thinking about the holiday of Shavuot that Karen just mentioned. And then I thought, the story of Ruth that we read on this holiday is also full of people looking at things from a different perspective. We could go through all of them, but the one that's most obvious and the one that speaks to me today is how Ruth faced things from a different perspective as she was about to leave town with Naomi, her mother-in-law, with Naomi going back to Israel. Ruth, being a princess in Moab, could have returned, could have stayed in Moab, taken on this royal place again. Yet she saw something from a different perspective and instead said to Naomi, as even Naomi urged her to go back, she said to Naomi, Ruth said to Naomi, no, I will go where you go. Where you dwell, I will dwell. Your people will be my people. Your God, my God. A different perspective. So I'd like to challenge all of us to read Ruth this next holiday on Shavuot and look for those little switches in perspective in the characters that we meet. With that, I'm going to wish you a Shavuot Tov, a good week, Chag Sameach, a happy holiday, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.